Hello, 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 and welcome to Women's Wisdom Wednesdays, where we come together every Wednesday to empower women just like you, foster connections, and thrive on our journey of surviving womanhood. I'm Casey Conrad, well-being specialist and whole life coach, and I am thrilled to announce that today marks a significant milestone as we kick off Season 4, Episode 1. I'm incredibly grateful for the opportunity to continue sharing inspirational stories and providing support to women over 40. Your engagement and support have made this journey possible, and we look forward to bringing you more empowering content. Today, we have a very special guest joining us for a second appearance here on Women's Wisdom Wednesday. Her name is Rania Abdel Ghaffar, and she has an incredible story to share. And we're looking forward to inviting Rania back for a few more visits with us because she has so much incredible work that she does, and it's important that we hear from her on a regular basis. But before we completely introduce Rania, let's take a moment to address you, our audience. Women's Wisdom Wednesdays wants you to be reminded to visit our website at www.survivingwomanhood.com, where you can find valuable resources, connect with other like-minded women, and stay updated on our upcoming episodes and programs. We encourage you to actively participate by asking questions and adding comments. If you have a story to share, we'd love to hear it. This is a safe space for us to learn and grow together. We'd also like to ask you to share your favorite episodes. You never know who out there needs to hear these inspiring stories. Now, let's meet Rania. Rania is a master's in education, and she's a spirited soul on a remarkable journey from being an English language lecturer to blossoming into a happiness educator, emotional intelligence coach, soft skills trainer, and Reiki healer. And I've learned just today that Rania is starting a few new things that she'll share on some upcoming episodes. Her path has been a vibrant tapestry woven with threads of wisdom, compassion, and boundless energy. Rania, I am so privileged to have you here today. I'm sure your story is going to serve as an inspiration to many. Thank you for joining me again.
Thank you, Casey. It's always great to be with you on your episodes. Truly.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
I'm inspired with this mission that you have, communicating with people and especially women at this, I won't say critical stage of life, but it's a very necessary stage of life.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Let's dive right in because I know people are so curious about what a happiness educator is and does. So, can you explain in detail what a happiness educator actually is and what your role involves? And what are some of the key principles and techniques that you use to promote happiness and well-being in your clients? And how do you tailor your approach to meet the unique needs of each individual? And I know that's a lot, but I know you can handle it.
Well, happiness educator means that there is something called happiness education. And although it's called education and it seems such a noble, a spiritual path in life, it actually rose from an economic need in the industries where they found that more than $1 trillion was lost every year because of lack of productivity, not because of disasters, not because of failures in other sides of the industry. It's just lack of productivity because of the mental and emotional well-being, lack of mental and emotional well-being.
Makes
And
sense.
sometimes because of sicknesses that were a result of mental and emotional burnout. So they found that the lack of productivity, the medical care that was being spent over employees, you know, the absenteeism and what we call also the presenteeism, being there but not there, you know, and especially that sometimes being present can present a more difficult situation for the company than being absent, because being absent, you're out of the circle of productivity with all your negativity. And yes, there is a part that's missing, you know, but
Yes.
at least it's missing.
So it's
You
not
know?
poisoning the well.
Exactly. But
Mhm.
when you're there, you prevent others from finding an alternative, and you're actually pouring your negativity over the whole zone, and other people start being, you know, contaminated, and there are a lot of struggles on so many levels at work. So, you know, there are a lot of repercussions resulting from a person having his negativity within the company circle. So back to what a happiness educator is. A happiness educator educates people on how to preserve and sustain their well-being on all levels. Why? Because there is this path of positive psychology that says we don't need to first suffer and fall and break down, and then we take steps towards gluing up and trying to figure out how to handle a chaos. So how about sustaining the well-being, keeping us whole, all right, as a first step, and then moving from that level of well-being to a further better level where you are flowing with more energy, with positivity, giving out good vibes that affect your environment in ripple effect, and other people also benefiting from that. So it's like, instead of giving life to a dead body, it's sustaining life in a live body and making it more healthier and more productive. So
Wonderful.
yeah, happiness education is the information, the skills, the techniques, and the self inner diving that provides what you need on all levels to be the best you can be.
So can you talk a little bit about, just briefly, some of the techniques that you might actually use?
Okay. The flow, what we call flow, is a state where you are highly engaged, you are highly productive, you are in the best emotional, mental, physical, and spiritual, maybe level and state. And that happens when you are doing what you were created to do. Okay, so we get to know your intelligences. Do you have more musical intelligence? Do you have more physical intelligence, body? Do you have more mathematical, logical intelligence? Do you have more linguistic intelligence? Do you have more emotional intelligence? What is the most dominant, most productive, highly engaging intelligence that you can use? That says a lot about you, because that's how you process your environment, and that's how you produce, you know. So it's the process is more of an input process output. You are that machine, you are that software. Okay, so you input information, whatever it is, sound, feelings, visuals, you know, etc. You
Right.
process them, come up with decisions, and according to the decisions, you start acting. So when this is in flow, the input is what you love to receive, what you are most equipped to receive. So if your highest intelligence is musical intelligence, for example, so the sounds affect you. So if you are in this state where the sounds are to your liking and they are giving you the most information and your brain can process them, and then you're coming up with a product, that's your flow. If you can do that, you're in your highest and happiest state.
Where we
If
want to be,
you
right? This is where we
pardon?
want to be. This is where we
Yeah,
want to
and
be
you
all
can
the time.
never go wrong because that's what you were created to do. If the information that you were created to use best is that of feelings, and not only your own, but others. So the best environment you should be in if you want to be in a state of flow is among people with whom you have good relationships. Because if you are affected, highly affected with the emotional input, and you are within a community or an environment that provides you with bad input, emotional input, it's going to be a catastrophe that can actually kill you, you know, because you are most equipped for emotional information. So being in a state of flow is where the input, the process, and the output are exactly right for you.
So
Yeah.
I want to ask you a question that leads me to wonder if that is what we do in NLP, like when we focus on a person as kinesthetic, auditory, or visual. This sounds very similar.
Yeah, it is, but these are the reception of information
Right.
tools,
The way that we
the
take in the
channels to receive
information best,
information.
right?
Yes.
Okay, very good.
On the
This
other
I
hand,
understand.
yeah. On the other hand, the auditory input includes the sounds of human beings, the sounds of animals, the sounds of things, and the sound can be the sound connected with a word being said. So here we have sound and a meaning. So there is a linguistic intelligence also working. So
Right.
there are two intelligences, the sound, which is the musical intelligence, and there is the linguistic intelligence. And then the auditory also receives the intonation and the vibe with the words. If I'm telling you, oh, Casey, that's a beautiful dress. Even if you're not watching my face, if you close your eyes and you hear my voice, you will get the vibe, and the intonation will tell you that she loves what you're wearing and she has a good intention in what she says. But if I tell you, Casey, what a lovely dress, it's the same words, you know,
Right. Yes,
but
yes.
completely different vibe.
Mm-hmm.
So again, the sound intelligence, the musical intelligence is working, the linguistic intelligence is working, and the emotional intelligence is working. Socially, we have interpersonal and intrapersonal intelligence, two intelligences when it comes to emotions. So you are receiving the other person's emotion, and you are from the outside, and you are receiving your own emotion as a reaction or in response to what he said, how he said it, what he felt while he was saying it. So although it's all auditory reception, of information, so many intelligences are working with the information.
So it's like, I want to just say this to see if I understand what I'm hearing you say. That we're looking for an holistic understanding of all of the input and output together, and using that to create a higher flow state.
Okay, is that what you're talking when you're talking about happiness education?
Yes.
Yes, yes. Making use of everything in your life as resources in order to go to that place we call flow. And that place we call flow is like charging your battery, charging your life battery that promotes your health, whether it's mental, emotional, physical, spiritual. It promotes your relationships, because when you're good, everything else is good, you know, and vice versa, of course. So when you have this kind of education, it doesn't only benefit you on all levels. It benefits your surrounding, it benefits your people, it benefits your community, even the environment, you know?
So I'm thinking, as we're talking, it seems as if what this does is it creates a higher emotional intelligence, which allows for us to become less vulnerable to that taking everything personal. It's all about me kind of thing, right? When people are, someone says something, and you might, instead of going through that process of taking in all the intonation, the cadence, the body language, all of that, and then your response to that, your emotional internal response, you put that all together instead of just going, what did you say to me?
Sure.
Right? You
Sure.
take it in again holistically, and you process it so it comes out completely different, like neutral, more neutral. So you're not like getting ticked off at every little thing or having your feelings hurt because somebody said something in a way that struck you wrong.
Okay, that is what I would call the emotional intelligence, which entails emotional immunity. I like to call it immunity.
I like
Because,
that.
yeah, just like physical immunity, you're not going to destroy all the microbes and the bacteria and, and viruses, and, you won't. It's not about that. We're not going to destroy life in order to protect ourselves,
Right.
but rather make our immunity better so that when you are amidst all that, nothing really is gonna affect you. On the other hand, we are human beings. We do have our weaknesses. We do have the holes through which things can enter, definitely, because we're not Superman or Superwoman.
Yeah.
In our case, Wonder Woman.
Although I was just going to say, yes.
Yeah. So, but the point here is that when something enters, it's supposed to start a process of response rather than a reaction.
Yes.
And that's where the whole deal is. A reaction is something that is completely uncalculated, that's negatively impulsive. Because
Fully
I like being
subconscious,
impulsive,
right?
by the way.
That reaction is fully subconscious with no critical thinking involved.
Yeah, and it's completely based on the other.
Yes.
It's not yours. Because
Yeah.
every action has a reaction that's equal in all this. I can't remember the rule.
Yeah. For every
equal
action, there was an equal reaction.
Yeah, but it's opposite in direction, right?
Yes. Yes.
So the thing is, it depends on the action.
Mhm.
So you are becoming just a secondary variable in the situation. You're not a doer, you're being done to.
Mhm.
You
Mhm.
see, you're an object, not the subject. And that's the worst place you can place yourself at.
Yes.
So the
And no
point
happiness
is
can live there, right?
none, of course, none. There can be not true happiness, because whatever you will have at that point of, in time and in place is not based on you. Your resources cannot sustain this situation because it's not based on your action. It's based on somebody else's action. So your happiness completely depends, which I wouldn't call happiness, you know, whatever
Right.
you're feeling completely depends on somebody else. It's not yours.
Right.
And there's no
I get that
security there.
100%.
Yeah.
I just want to clear up quickly so we don't have anybody who's a physics person out there.
Yeah. A
We want to make
disclaimer.
sure that we say this, we have this law right. So for every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction.
Exactly.
Okay, just wanted to get that out there so we don't get cards and letters.
I was a very good physics student, but that was more than 30 years ago. I'm okay.
I think we both had a piece of that.
Yeah, yeah. At least I can remember some of the quotes.
Yeah.
So so going back to that, what we need is a response. A response places you at the doer's position. And the doer does at his own or her own time, with her own capabilities, with her own vision, with her own goal, with her own perspective, what she wants to achieve. I'm going to say she because we're
Yes.
talking,
Yeah.
about womanhood. So the thing is, if I received what I was telling you of 5 minutes ago, somebody telling me, your dress is nice. So yeah, so I received the information. If I'm going to react, I would like, what's wrong with you?
Yeah.
But if I take more information through all my senses and I start processing what's going on, it seems it has nothing to do with me, really, huh? Because I like my dress, or else I wouldn't have worn it.
Exactly.
And whatever she feels or she sees is according to her, which has nothing to do with me. How she feels is hers. So maybe I won't find that it's worth actually responding to, because
Right.
it's actually none of my business how you see my dress. This is the
Yes.
first thing. Maybe if I start using my visual intelligence more, I would recognize that there is something wrong with her lips. So maybe it's how she talks. Maybe there's something, an ailment or something.
Right.
Maybe using other, maybe she's touching me and she's saying it genuinely, but her tone of voice is different than what I would have expected. So this touch with genuine affection would tell me that she doesn't mean ill, she's okay.
Mhm. Right.
A lot of
Taking the
things.
whole picture.
Yes. So the thing is, it takes from 4 to 8 seconds, to get rid of the chemical effect of an emotion triggered, a triggered emotion. Okay. The chemical fades. And it's only then that the emotion is taken out and the meaning and the rest of the information can go to the cognitive level, where all your intelligences can, sort of have a conference, have a meeting. I saw her lips. Oh, but I heard her tone. But I felt the touch. Yes, and it seems so and so and so. And you know what? At the end of the day, it's none of my business really. Why should it affect me? So all this going on, it doesn't take flickers of seconds, but at last the information has gone to the conference room where all the intelligences were able to deal together, you know, and come up with a with something that I can further do. That is the response, because it's my response. It's what I decide to do according to how I feel, my own feelings, not the feelings based on hers.
Right.
So I believe that that's where happiness can intersect with emotional intelligence, how emotional intelligence can work towards your happiness, giving you emotional immunity, giving you time for better responses that would give, everything would affect you. So it would give the best effect on all levels.
And affect, right? Yes.
Yeah.
So this brings me to question number 2.
Sure.
Yeah. How can happiness education specifically benefit women over 40? And can you share any examples of successes that you've had as a happiness educator that significantly improved the personal or professional lives of women in this age group, which will then help them to navigate their midlife transitions like career changes or personal challenges?
The age of 40 is a beautiful stage. You have had enough time to see firsthand and truly what you're capable of doing. After having had the life education and experience and opportunity to do in your life. So if we're talking about education, normal education in your first 10, 20 years, and maybe going through the 22 years of your life, first 22 years of your life, there is then some time where you are using that education and figuring out whether it was the right one, or do I need to modify it? Do I need more information, more experience? Do I need to get to know more people? And then taking all that and performing in your, you know, later stage, where 25 to 35 or more, maybe getting married or getting into a relationship, finding out how what you have done with yourself can actually navigate along somebody else's what he has done with himself, maybe producing offsprings where you would again assess what you have learned and how it can affect your kids, and whether it's good enough for the age that they're in, or do you need to further do whatever. So it's all the first couple of 10 years, 10, 20, 30, and then moving towards 40. All of those are experimentation, learning, performing, and then comes 40, where there is sort of a formative assessment. I call it formative assessment because, there are two types of assessment, formative and summative. Summative is always at the end.
Yes, always at the
That's
end.
not ours. That's the creators. But we have places in our life where we have formative assessment that tells us whether we need to modify or we're okay. 40 is where you have had till now fairly enough to judge. Have I done well? Is that what I want to go on doing? Do I want to change? What do I need to do? Because I've done a lot. I've learned a lot. I've given out a lot. So am I happy? Is that what I want to go on with? Is that going to make me happy in the next stages? So 40 is a super duper assessment, formative assessment stage.
I think I've asked this question, but honestly, what I see is that the actual best success story that you have is your own.
Alhamdulillah, yes.
Yes,
I'm
getting
very
to that
grateful.
stage, doing your formative assessment, and you really just completely changed your life.
Completely changed my life.
Yeah.
Yes.
So do you want to, I know we talked a little bit about that, or a lot about that in our last meeting together, but do you want to remind people about the massive change that came about in your life when you
Sure.
reached that age of 40?
Yes. Actually, it was when I was 42. That was the last year for my, that was the last year for my son, a younger, he's my younger offspring. He's, the youngest. And he was leaving home. So that was when I had done my almost all my duties. And that was where I started to assess, okay, what do I want to do with my life further? And that was when I found out that this is not exactly the life I want. This is not exactly the woman that is able to use everything inside. The environment I'm in is not allowing me to neither grow nor to experience the little tinglings, the little clues that come up every now and then, something calls. So I had to change all that. I had to move somewhere else. I had to start figuring myself out. What's inside you, woman,
Yes.
and find an environment that would help that. So I started everything truly from the beginning.
Right.
And I was in a very traditional path, a path that had been paved all my life, and usually paved for most of people in our society. You are well educated, rounded education when you're young, healthy, alhamdulillah. You get married around the beginnings of 20s. When you're done with your uni, you get married to a very decent person. That's how it goes here, or
Yes.
at least at my age back then.
Yeah.
Young women would go throughout that path. Okay, so you finish education 21 years old, you get married, you get kids, you get them into school, educate them, go on with your marital life. One of the most prestigious things is to become a lecturer at a university. And or of course you have a good high position somewhere as a job, or become a housewife. A housewife is also a beautiful thing in our society, because the family and the kids are of highest importance. Actually, they are usually the priority: kids, house, and husband. So not leaving, but I had a feeling that I had done my job on all those levels, I was no longer needed for anything further, literally. And whatever I would be needed for was to preserve the status quo of everybody else around me. But Rania, as the unique creation that was created, because we are not copies, everybody has a unique a taste, flavor, has unique variables. So I felt at that point in time that I was just like, what do they call not the person, something that we put in a farm so that birds don't come.
A scarecrow.
Yeah, exactly. Just being there, so that everybody else's life can go on. But what about me? What do I want to do? My environment is not helping me find out or do what I found out. And there is no room for change. Whatever I reached at that point in time, which was not making me happy, something was missing, was going to go on forever.
Yeah.
There was no deadline, there was no end. I had to stop this line of life that for me started becoming meaningless for Rania. And I had to go find out a meaning of life for Rania. It was a start of a whole life, whole life. It's like truly,
right? Speaking of that,
of life coming out. 6 years later, I'm a person who has nothing to do with that beautiful person also that was there. But I moved on to the true line of growth that would have never been provided. That path would have never been provided because it actually was in conflict with the stability of other people's growth lines. For other people to grow, I had to stay dormant.
Yes. So thank you for sharing that. And speaking of this, reflecting on your journey and the work that you do as a happiness educator, what is one piece of advice or takeaway that you would like to convey to the audience? And how can women over 40 start now incorporating the principles of happiness education into their lives to create a more fulfilling and joyful future for them?
Find your home. Find your home in you. Find a person in you that you can feel home in or with. So if I say, I'm sitting with Rania, I feel home with Rania. Then find a literally nice home where after a day of whatever you're doing, you can go back and call home. Be happy in that place, even if it's one room, even if it's a chair, make it a homely chair. Find a partner who is home, in whose arms you can feel that you are home, not just a title. Find friends who are home when you're even talking to them, not just sitting with them. You feel home. Find an environment, community, a land, a country where you feel home. Home is the secret word. If you find home within yourself, within your body, within your character, within your relationships, your community, your literal materialistic home, your work, even when you go to work, you need to find a work that makes you feel home, where you can find your flow. All of this, and always ride your flow. Whatever impedes it is not supposed to be there. Believe me, if something lowers your energy, if something prevents you from moving well, not prevents you from hurting yourself, but prevents you from moving towards your well-being, your growth, that's not meant for you. It's not for you, and it's not supposed to be a part of your life. So if I'm going to give advice, find home and ride your flow.
Beautifully said. Beautifully said. Thank you so much. It has been a lovely, lovely time learning about all of these things, this happiness education, which is new for people. And I think especially for people here in the United States, we hear a lot about happiness, and that we haven't taken it to the level here that they have in other parts of the world. Like, for example, in the UAE, they created an entire happiness ministry, right? Where even every day they send out text messages to everyone in the country, these beautiful affirmations and nice thoughts to spark your day and to bring you back to a place more of peace and joy, which I think is fantastic. And I appreciate the way that you express looking for something that feels like home, because I think that's something that every person can relate to. And we definitely know what it feels like when we don't have that. We don't have that comfort and that peace of mind of home, right? So thank you so, so much. And I just want to take a moment to appreciate you, Rania, for sharing this inspiring journey with us. And I look forward to seeing you again in a few weeks when you have another story to share with us. Your
Inshallah.
strength and contribution are truly remarkable. So thank you
Thank
so
you,
much.
Casey, for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Wonderful. So if you've been touched by Rania's story, we invite you to leave a comment or share some of your story with us, suggest future topics or guests, and actively engage with the surviving womanhood community. And please remember to mark your calendars and join us for our next Women's Wisdom Wednesday episode on June 5th, when we'll have the privilege of welcoming May Fauzi, who actually is a friend of Rania's.
Yes, a dear
Thank you very
friend.
much. Who'll be sharing her inspiring story. Rania's journey serves as an inspiration to us all. And again, thank you so much, Rania. Thank you.
Thank you, Casey. It's been
Yes.
a pleasure. Great time.
And thank you. And for all of you to catch up on any of our Women's Wisdom Wednesdays episodes that you could have missed, please visit our website again, www.survivingwomanhood.com, and click on podcasts. Together, let's face every challenge, rise above adversity, and support one another on our journey of surviving womanhood. See you next time. Thanks again, Rania.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Casey.
We
Thank
will
you, dear.
speak very, very soon.
Inshallah.